Hi, this is Laura Holyoke, and I have one of 3 short PowerPoint presentations for you going over the human resource / trifocal lens frame. So why try is the question. Why do I add to Bowman and Deal a little bit? Because they do have kind of the first two. But I also include in personal, these are the human beings, right? How they fit into organizations and how the organizations need them. But also the people that work in the organization, what is similar, what is different about them, not just a straightforward fit all the time. Then the next PowerPoint recording will be on a family or group lens of the trifocal. And then finally, we'll talk about a medical, clinical, or organismic, that is looking at the organization as if it were a person. Look, and Bowman and Deal don't really talk a lot about that. So this lens lifts the need to blame people. So some of the theories, backdrops, and Bowman and Deal talk about this are motivation theories, what motivates people in organizations, the human development, how we develop in our careers and how we develop over time, along with our personality, and then the employment contract, what it is that we are hired to do in organizations. So the fit between the individual and the organization centers on what organizations and people do to and for another. The personal lens characteristics, so not just the people and their fit, but there's so many other areas to take into consideration when we look at people in organizations. One is their age. Currently, we have 3 different generations working in the workplace. We have baby boomers, we have Generation Xers, and we have millennials, all which tend to work a little differently. Then we have gender, males, females, and other sexual orientations, if you will. We have different racial and ethnic backgrounds. We come from quite across the United States. We are very different in terms of our backgrounds. We also, in our occupations, we have career stages. Some people are just entering into careers that we work with, and others are midterm careers, and others are, close to retirement. So something to take into account there. Also, employment status, if somebody's just getting hired or just getting replaced, if you will. Health status of individuals and history, how they've been in the organization in the past, and also how their health is right now often affects people and what they're doing or how they're doing. Also, along with health status of just the individuals themselves, we more and more in today's organizations, we find that the baby boomers and Generation Xers are in a sandwich generation. That is, they're not only taking care of kids, but they're also taking care of their parents. And then just different personality characteristics of individuals in the workplace. And to keep in mind that at any given time, in any given organization, people are making up, they're breaking up, they've just filed for a divorce, they just had the most wonderful thing happen in their life personally. So all kinds of stuff is always going on and it should be looked at. So one of the ways, another way to talk about this personal lens in the part of the trifocal is to relate it to the human margin equation. So a human margin equation is by Richard Swenson. This is adapted from his book Margin. It's a systems equation. So how human beings are alike. We are all alike in this way. So every one of us has a certain set of resources. Resources can be time, money, education, people who support us, animals that bring us joy, minus a load that we all carry. Load can be a job, load can be who we're taking care of, load can be what we owe. All kinds of things can be load. And then what we have left over is margin, and margin can either be positive or negative. So let me give you some more examples here. So resources can be skills, time, they can be emotional stamina, and could be our physical strength in some cases, our financial solvency, social supports that we have, education, and then our load can be internal or external, and both. So internal factors may be that we have personal expectations. I have to get an A in this class. Could be emotional disabilities, things that we really get hooked on or attached to and are not able to let go of. They're invisible, although we know that they preoccupy our mind. Sometimes only we know what occupies our mind, and we do know that most of us have monkey minds, that our minds have all sorts of different intrusive thoughts every minute that we oftentimes don't have control over. And then external factors. So this is a lot of times what other people see in terms of load, the work that we're doing, relationship issues, responsibilities that we have, financial debts that we need to pay, any health problems that we're taking care of. So resources minus load either ends up in positive or negative margin. So margin is what I refer to in the structural lens as slack resources. So margin says that we should have something left over, that our load should not be greater than the resources that we have. And we need slack resources. So if our load is too heavy over time, then we don't have anything left for anyone or anything. We can't give anymore. And when we operate in negative margin over a long period of time, because we all operate in negative margin during certain times in our lives. Some people, it may be around the semester end. Some people may be around the semester beginning. Some people may be around just school getting started, maybe at certain times in your workplace that you just don't have anything else to give. That happens to all of us. However, when that negative margin does not go away, one of two things happen. Either we collapse, have some kind of a collapse, emotional collapse, that we just, everything gets dropped from us. We can no longer handle anything. Or we volunteer to make a fundamental change in our life to either increase our resources or decrease our load. So it's pretty simple language to introduce to those that you love and those that you work with, and for people to understand, you know what, I've got some positive margin. I can give a little bit here, or, you know, I don't have any margin left to give to anything. So just something to think about. The other thing I want to introduce you to is the Johari window. And the Johari window is, the authors behind it are Joseph Luft and Harry Ingram. So it should be the Johari window, but it's not. Anyhow, it's a way to look at both individuals as well as groups, kind of a communications model. So the Johari window has 4 different quadrants. One of them is the open arena. The second is a blind spot. The third is the facade, and the fourth is the unknown. So the open arena is what we know about ourselves and what we share openly with other people. Maybe about our status, it may be about our education, it may be about our families, it may be about something a little more personal, what colors we like, whatever it is. So we don't have any problem sharing this. A blind spot is known by others, but not known by the individual. So this is a person who may not hypothetically have any idea that he or she interrupts everybody all the time, that this person maybe over talks everybody all the time, that this person maybe twitches. So it's something that's easily seen by others, but that individual may not necessarily know it. Then the third quadrant is the facade quadrant. So this is what we know about ourselves, yet we choose not to tell other people about it. It may be because we don't think it's any of their business, or we're not comfortable sharing that information. And then finally, the last quadrant is the unknown quadrant. This is what other people don't know about us and that we don't know about ourselves, simply because we have not participated in a lot of self-discovery. So if you can imagine then this quadrant, being in groups of people, or even being with, let's say, a significant other, that the ultimate goal should be for healthy relationships and healthy organizations, if you will, is to make that open and free area as big as possible. So one way to get the blind area to shrink is to ask for feedback, to solicit feedback on what am I doing that I don't realize that I'm doing, that you can obviously see that I'm doing. And another area to shrink the hidden area or the facade area is to have more self-disclosure. Exposure of yourself, be more authentic around other people. And then finally, the unknown area is kind of to make that area smaller. It's what others start to observe in us and give us feedback. It's also our own self-discovery and then shared discovery by the group of people around us. So I think, again, Johari window gives us a really easy access vocabulary to talk about relationships, to talk about individuals. And some people have labeled different individuals in the Johari window, like somebody with a large blind area, maybe a bull in a china shop, that this person just has no idea, again, what he or she really comes across as, or what he or she is really doing. And the person with the large hidden area, maybe Mr. or Mrs., top secret, that we don't know anything about this person. Does this person, I don't know, have a dog? What does this person do on the weekend? Does this person have a family? Just the idea that this person is really secretive and doesn't say anything about him or herself. So to give you another tool, if you will. Lastly, I'm going to talk about French and Raymond's bases of power, both in this lens as well in the sorry, my phone just went off, as well as in the political lens, because it is basis of power. So French and Raymond say that at any given time we have 5 different bases of power. And they've added 2 different bases since time goes on. But these are bases of power that we use as individuals with other people, and that we can see used in groups. So reward power is the ability one has over another to provide positive reinforcement or desired behavior. Rewards may come in the form of money, may come in form of candy, may come in form of some kind of appreciative announcement or feeling or something like that. Coercive power is the potential of one to inflict punishment over another. And this is not just physical punishment, but coercive power is oftentimes very covert. That is, only the person receiving the coercive power may know it that way. And just a note that any of the other powers, reward, referent, expert, and legitimate, any of those powers can be used coercively. So referent power is a function in respect. I like this person because this person is very outgoing, charismatic. I identify with this person. I want to be more like this person. That's what referent power is. Expert power is power that one gets from knowing a whole lot of information in one particular area, and then can talk and provide expert information to others. And then legitimate power is based upon authority recognized in accordance with the position in an organizational structure. This is like our boss, somebody like a teacher who gives grades has legitimate power. And many times we see these different powers, it's not just one power, but oftentimes they're used in conjunction. So in other words, as the instructor of this course, I have legitimate power as the instructor. I also have reward power in terms of quote unquote giving grades, even though technically you earn grades. And one of the key pieces to bases of power is that other people only have these forms of power over us if we allow them. So you don't have to allow me to be the instructor for you. You don't have to keep working that job. You can answer to somebody else. You don't have to go to the expert to find out something. So we almost always have the choice of whether to give others this power or not. And that's it for the personal lens. Thank you so much for listening. Glad you're here. Whoops.